Hey guys, Gabe Tape here, Big Man Comics. It's going to be a fun one today. I know I don't do a lot of streaming in the middle of the day anymore. I'm too busy writing and drawing, but a fun guest in. I got to meet this he's an impressive young man. I'll have to ask him how old he is. I know he's in like his early mid-20s, and I think he went to like USC film school or something. He has a great background in this stuff. And, there's a lot of indie comics out there, a lot of stuff. It's Vaughn Coleman and Phenomenova, by the way. But I was actually very impressed. I have a copy of it. I got to go grab it across my office over here. But I met him in April. He went to the Friday Night Tights meetup in Las Vegas. I'd seen him around the internet, this and that. He seemed like an earnest young man. But I got a hold of the book, and I was like, oh, okay, the kid can write. He understands story and stuff like that. So he'll be coming in a minute. I just sent him the link. I hadn't sent him the link yet. So meanwhile, as we wait for him, might as well show you what the hell I am up to. If you go to bigmancomics.com right now, you can check out a fresh new take. You know, things get stale, things get old. You don't like it. I want something new. And Empyrean, Earth Illuminated. It is an amazing sci-fi saga. It's new and old at the same time. It's fresh though. It's new and old. It's the way you loved it, the way you loved Star Wars and all that in the 70s and in the 80s and all that kind of good stuff. And this is just my love letter to awesome sci-fi. If you loved Interstellar's divisive. I've heard people say that they don't like Interstellar. They don't get it. The ending doesn't make sense. What do you mean love, blah, blah, blah. I love Interstellar. I think it's brilliant. I like all Christopher Nolan movies that I've seen. I haven't seen Oppenheimer. And there's like one other one I haven't seen. I didn't like Memento. I really didn't like Memento. I really disliked it. I don't know why. I like Guy Pearce, Joe Pantoliano or whatever his name is. He's a great actor. The lady from The Matrix, what the hell is her name? She was in it. Really disliked Memento. I finally watched it about a year ago. Never seen it, heard how amazing it was, and no, was not for me. Empyrean Earth Illuminated is an awesome sci-fi saga. I'm going to read this in my best presenter voice. Let me open this up here and read it to you. Hold on. I'm going to open it so the description's right in front of you. Here we go. Story. In a world ruled by fear, a shadow looms over the planet Solus, where one man's lies darken the stars. The iron grip of the tyrant Casimir crushes all hope under the guise of providence. Promising salvation, he rules as a false god. Yet whispers of a true paradise, Nova Terra, stir in the ancient relics of a forgotten faith. Daring pilot Oliver and relentless scientist Elvira uncover a truth the regime will kill to bury. As Casimir's loyal enforcer, Colonel Red, and the merciless cyborg Scathe close in, sabotage and betrayal threaten their quest. Through the void of space, a rebellion ignites. Will the promised world be their deliverance or their doom? So you got a husband and wife team. They found out some stuff about a way to free the people of Solus from this evil tyrant, Casimir the Destroyer. And will they be able to do it, or will they be thwarted? Will they be killed? Anyway, joining us from back east is the one and only Vaughn Coleman. How you doing?
How's it going?
I'm going to call you Sonny Boy. I'm 47. How old are you? 23, 4, 5?
I am 26.
26. Okay. When I was 26, I lived in Greeley, Colorado still. Let's see. I was out of college. So I was coaching Pop Warner football and working in the comic book industry professionally. 26, I would have been. What year would that have been? That would have been like 2004 or 5. 2004. Damn. Yeah. Something like that.
So I would have been, depending on the month, 4 or 5.
Okay.
6.
Okay. So where are you? And you're in New Jersey, New York? Where are you?
New Jersey.
All right. So guys, coming in, hit the like, hit the share. The link for Phenomenova, which I can recommend.
Thank you.
In the description. You need to run out and back it. Yeah. This is an ambitious young man. I saw you come on the scene of wanting to do indie comics a few years ago. Now, we had worked together without knowing it years ago.
No, without knowing it.
The Finogilio brothers out of Chicago, Phenom Comics. I did the colors for Star Riders.
I remember vividly because I was excited just to work on literally anything in any capacity.
Right.
And I remember, from my point of view, the way I first found out about you was because I had, now I pay closer attention to who colors what and who letters what. Like now that I create, I pay closer attention because I know how important they all are. But when you're like, younger, you're just kind of reading and it's like, whatever. Another reason I started paying attention is because when I was going to cons, I'd be like, oh, that guy did this. I can get this signed. But I remember I had been doing that. And then you had your whole thing where you quit DC and I sent it to my friend. I had said it to my friend Hunter, who's like my editor. He goes, "Oh yeah, that guy's calling the book you're working on." I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my god, yeah."
For
So
really?
that was, yeah.
Okay.
So that was fun.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't know that we were working together on that. And
Yeah.
that was a good time. I worked on that before the lockdowns, and then that book got paused for a long. That book was years in the making. I talked to Tom Finagilio, one of the publishers there, the two brothers, like about a year ago was last time I talked to him. It seems like they were still working on that stuff. They did I'm gonna butcher the name. It's like Ninja Hunter Bear or Bear Hunter.
That
Ninja.
was my first one, Hunter Ninja.
That was the great Chuck Dixon.
Oh
great
yeah.
Chuck Dixon.
Which, first of all, when I got put on that book, because so my friend, I was friends Hunter. If you look at the editors, it's me and my buddy Hunter Fenoglio. We had met at film school because I was a film student, and then I'm a big comic book fan, and I had just mentioned casually to him because I was considering doing comics at a certain point in college. I casually mentioned it to him. I'm like, we're talking about like, what are you planning to do in life, blah blah blah, and he goes, "Oh, my dad's starting a comic book company." I was like, "What?" I was like,
Right.
Can you link me up? Can you do anything?" And he goes, "I'll see." And some time goes by, and then eventually I got a phone call from his dad. And he's talking to me, and he starts mentioning he's doing indie comics. And I go, you know what's funny? I didn't know anything about this at all. I go, like, one of my favorite writers, Chuck Dixon, does a lot of indie stuff. He goes, oh yeah, Chuck's the guy whose book you're working on. I'm like of all of the writers that I mentioned, I'm like, are you serious?
Chuck's a beast. Chuck is outstanding.
Never gotten to meet him.
Some of the most hardboiled stuff. I've never met him. I've had him on this channel a few times to interview him. Felt like an old friend when I talked to him. He had the #1 movie in the nation this year.
Yeah,
the Jason Statham action movie. What was that?
Working Man. I still need to see it.
It was one of the Levon Cade novels, or Levon Cade. I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's he had the #1 movie for at least 1 week, and then Lilo and Stitch or something came in and took over the box office. But he can always say he had the #1 movie in America. That's awesome.
That is crazy. Yeah, I'm trying to find my first published or my first Chuck Dixon book I read was Robin Year One.
Oh, okay.
I remember like hearing about him. I was like, wait a minute. And I started going through. I was like, oh yeah, I've read a fair amount of this guy's stuff. And I'd always want to read more. I want to at some point, because they just finished like Claremont's X-Men run and all the spinoffs. So I'm going to take a little brief because that was hefty. I'm going to probably finish New Teen Titans. But at some point, I want to go through all the 90s Batman titles. Okay. Like Detective.
What got me introduced to Chuck Dixon was in the late 90s. He had been doing it for a few years, so I got a bunch of the graphic novels. And it's funny because it's the same art team that was doing Star Riders that I did for the Finagilio brothers was Scott McDaniel and Chuck Dixon doing Nightwing for DC Comics.
That's on my list.
The artwork is phenomenal. The writing is phenomenal. It's a crime. It's more like there's a lot of police involved and gangsters and mobsters. And that's a real strength of Chuck Dixon is the macho manly stuff with the crime thrown in. Great stuff by Chuck. He's awesome. So.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned that too, because I was about to say I might even skip that stuff for now, even though it's more iconic and read, because everyone who's like a genuine nerd and not just going through top 10 Batman lists tells me they're like Chuck's best run, including his Batman, his Robin, his everything. Everyone universally says that Nightwing run is that
Nightwing thing is phenomenal. By the time I started reading it, there were probably 4, 5, or 6 graphic novels out. So I just bought one, and I'm like, I just ran and bought the rest like the next week and just read them all.
He's a genius.
And it's Scott McDaniel at the height of his powers. He's still a great illustrator, but he was 25 years younger, and he was just killing it with just these crazy perspective angles and just the light and the way he uses. He's very cartoony compared to a Kelly Jones and all those guys. But his use of black and white, the negative space and the positive is phenomenal. It's really gorgeous stuff. So I definitely would check out that Nightwing.
I'm interested. Yeah, especially like going back and reading through years later when I got a newer version of Star Riders, I was really appreciating there'd be like scenes of people talking. And one of the things that I've learned is kind of just let the artist do their thing. And he'll just do this angle that like as both a filmmaker, I would have never thought to shoot it from there. And I'm like, that works.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
He'll be like, put it from the corner looking down. And I'm like, I'll be like, I would have never thought to do it that way.
Yeah.
And sometimes artists, they just have these it's just crazy watching artists just take what you did. That's kind of, you're like, whatever.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. You and I had an interaction on Twitter like 6 months or a year ago where you said something about artists doing this and the writer. I'm going to paraphrase this. It's not what you said.
I don't remember.
The gist of it. It was like, as a writer, it was like not frustrating or angering, but like, hey, I wrote it this way, and then the artist does it this way. And my whole thing was like, everyone's got to stay in their lane of what they're good at, because if you don't know how to draw, you don't know how to draw. And that's not an insult to you. It's just true. The quarterback doesn't try to block people.
Right. No, I get what you're saying and how it comes across.
So like,
when I say something on social media, like, because I realized how it read, like after you responded, I realized how it read, and I'm like,
right,
yeah, I
well,
sound
then people
like
got mad at me that I was attacking. He was like, no,
no one's attacking. Yeah,
he's smart. They're like, no. But people are they're always looking for a fight online. Like,
always, yeah. We could just have fake beef if you want. No, but yeah, I mean, I think that was a big thing, because no one's allowed to have nuance anymore either. It's like it has to have an exact.
For instance, I work. I am there. I got 2 employees for my company, not employees, but I have one guy that draws for me, and then I draw. So there's 2 people drawing for Big Man Comics, and the guy that draws for me for things, he has more experience than me. He was an animator at Disney. He's been drawing for 10 or 15 years longer than me. I defer to him when it comes to storytelling and layout.
Right.
He does layouts for me for some of the stuff I draw. And I'm his boss. I'm the one that pays him and all that. And yet I defer to him because he knows more than me about drawing. Right. and like, he's giving me drawing lessons, basically. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'll send him art and like, what do you think of this? And like, no, move that there, do this here, do that first. I'm like, brilliant. You know what I mean?
I've gotten.
So I take my own advice. I send scripts and story stuff. I send them to Mike Barron. You know, he's 30, 40 years older than me. He knows more about writing. I'm a great writer, but he knows more. So I've always come from that mindset of, I can do anything. I'm capable of doing anything great. But if I see someone that has decades more experience and tons of success, swallow my ego and just be like, okay, what are you doing? Let me steal all your ideas and just copy what you're doing. And I see you trying to do that. You're going around, you're asking 100%. Questions. And a smart thing, how you must have been raised, is you're smart enough to understand A/B testing. If I try this and it fails, throw it away. Something else. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people get stuck in their ego. They're like, no, damn it, I'm going to do this thing I decided, and they do it forever, and they do the sunk cost fallacy. And it's like, no.
I kind of learned. So I think I was looking, but it's like night and day between issues 1 and 3 where I'm at now. I think it's my best writing is in 3, in part because, and this is, I'm getting better at it. Part of me is still sometimes like, no, it's not like this. Like, because sometimes you do want to like correct something if it's like, hey, it's not conveying what I'm saying, but I don't like nitpick necessarily too much. But then one time I remember I was actually like correcting or like giving some feedback on how my artist should change something. And then my editor, I go, you know what? Let me ask my editor. He goes, no, what he did is better. And I'm like, all right, you're right.
So let me go back to that. The guy I worked with, the Disney animator, illustrator, all stuff, years of experience.
Right.
I'll write stuff like in the books I've written that he's illustrated. He's illustrated the CAIN comic. He illustrated the sci-fi book. And I'll write a sequence, and then he'll send me back the pages, and it's not what I wrote, but it is what I wrote. But it's changed or polished or whatever. He'll add a joke to it. He'll say, well, it'd be better if this guy came in from outside and then that guy fighting him was over here. I'm like, holy, you're right. And I leave it alone. Now, he's not in charge. He doesn't overrule everything I want to do. And sometimes we go back and forth and I get my way. But I'm smart enough to understand someone more experienced than me, they might have a good idea. So a big part of leadership, and that's the position you're in with Rebel Oasis, your publishing company, is understanding how to delegate. And not having that anxiety and insecurity where you have to micromanage. You know,
I used to have that, and now I'm kind of more like,
you can't. And I'll tell you, I was very successful football coach. Every team I ever coached, now they were just kids like Pop Warner, middle school, all that, always made it to the championship or won the championship. And I had those kids eating out of my hand, and they loved me. Like, they would cry when the season was over because they loved coach so much. And it's because I had a great grandfather that raised me in a very masculine way, and great football coaches myself growing up. And so I really understand, like, the teamwork makes the dream work. You know what I mean? So when someone knows their role, you got to just let them do it and don't micromanage. I give so few notes to the guys I hire to color and draw and all that because I don't hire dummies. Like, I only want to hire experienced people that are like, you know, have years under their belt that way. Because the whole point of me hiring them is to make my life easier. Right. I'm not hiring them so I can just be correcting everything they do.
That's one of the things I kind of would realize too, is I'm like, okay, like I used to, in my first issue, I'd go back, oh my God, even down to like lines, ask my editor every little thing. And I'm like, dude, at a certain point, this way or that way, just go.
Right.
And I think that ultimately that's why my stuff, because I'm like, all right, I want to put these books out fast. That's another thing too. You have to, at a certain point you have to let things go.
Yes.
The reader is not going to, they'll be like, oh, that facial expression is slightly different. The reader's not going to even know.
Right.
You know.
Right. And and you'll just get better with time. You know what I mean? And it's like anything else. It's like getting a better body, going to the gym, or getting more spiritual, getting more money.
Right.
It's just repetition over time. It's just being dedicated to being consistent. You don't do one thing. You don't get rich quick. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like I did this for decades. I've been a professional illustrator since 2000. That's a quarter century. So yes, I know what I'm doing now. I operate at the highest level now because I've done it. I did thousands and thousands and thousands of pages for Image, Marvel, mostly DC, IDW, Dark Horse. If you can name an IP, I have worked on it professionally, except for one. My white whale is Ninja Turtles. That is the one
you never got to
love.
do.
I loved it. I went and talked to people at IDW. I would love to just do a cover. I don't need the money. I don't need the job, but just to tell myself, to tell the 12-year-old me that loved Raphael. Yes,
that was my follow-up question. Was who your favorite was?
Oh, well, if you like Michelangelo, that's just the normie answer. Saying that
mine's
like
Leonardo.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think might be, is that more normie or less?
I think Michelangelo's the most normie answer because it's the most. Saying you like Michelangelo is like saying you like vanilla ice cream. I like vanilla ice cream too. It's not as interesting as some of the other flavors.
It works with everything.
Yeah, it does. So, but let's first of all, let's celebrate good times, as they say in the song. $8,051 of your $8,000 goal. So congratulations.
Yeah, I just did it. Thank you.
You are successful. You did it. 197. Now, guys, anyone watching this, go and get this on Kickstarter right now. You got to go get it because the number one reason you got to get it is going to entertain you. That's what your hard-earned money is being spent on. Vaughn Coleman, as young as he is, he does know what he's doing here. And I'm speaking from authority. Superman, Batman, Star Wars, Wonder Woman, and now Big Man Comics. I know what I'm doing. I know good stuff when I see it. I didn't know what to think at first. I thought, he's kind of young. We'll see. And then he gave me his books in Las Vegas. He gave me a couple to check out. And I was like, oh, okay, these are real comics. Like,
Thank you.
It's an interesting premise. A kid getting superpowers. It's a fun story. It takes you back. It's like, it reminds me in a very abstract way of the old Spider-Man, the original stuff from 62, where he's the high schooler, the young guy, and he's got a little bit of that, the whole Invincible, Ryan Otley, the early issues of Invincible. It's got that going with the modern sensibility. So it's a fun stuff. Go check it out. And I think Vaughn deserves your patronage. He deserves your stuff because he's proven he delivers. And we know that's an issue, and not just in comics. I mean, just in social media world in general, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, all that. There's vaporware. We've seen video games. We've seen comics. We've seen board game stuff where it gets funded and then it never materializes.
It flounders.
Right. So the fact that he's delivering, that he's putting his hand out first. So you can feel safe putting your hand out because this guy, he's going to deliver. So I would definitely check it out. It's fun stuff. It's not agenda. Democrats suck. Republicans are idiot. We're not.
No, I don't. I want everyone to read my book. I want everyone to be able to relate to it. And so far, most people do, which is the thing is, I know I'm a younger writer and people are like, all right. Because one of the things with me is there were people that were going to back me regardless because they were friends with me or they want to support the young guy or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But I want it to be a comic that leads into, I want people to want the next one, like to go from a place of, I'll support this guy because we whatever, to, oh my God, I need to know what happens next. Thank you, Godfo. And one of the ways I did that, we touched on this earlier, is so when I kind of really caught the comic bug, like, and started doing deep dives into runs, it was Giant Size X-Men #1 into Claremont's run that really drove me in. And then when I decided to turn this idea I had of mine that was movies and then animated series into a comic, when I decided to do that, I started going, well, let's look at the greats. I want a teenage hero. And I'm so glad you mentioned that because I've read I ended up reading a lot of the early...
There you go.
I ended up reading a lot of the early Spider-Man stuff.
Okay.
Because I always try to learn from those who came before me because they laid the groundwork for me.
Right. And again, that's kind of why when I talked to you in Vegas in person, I was like, oh, this kid's not a dummy. Because what you just said, learn from the greats who came before you. Like I said, I'm a quarter century writer, artist. I had a first look deal with Warner Brothers to turn one of the things I wrote for DC into a TV show or a movie. Books I've worked on have won Eisners, but I'm still like, hey, Mike Barron, you've been doing this longer. Tell me your secrets. hey, the Akion, the guy that I hired to illustrate, tell me what's wrong with my drawing. When I worked in studio for Jim Lee at Wildstorm, I was coloring during the day, coaching football at night, and then inking Superman pages at night at home after practice. I was
Wow.
working and I would take the inked Superman pages to the studio and give them to Scott Williams. And I would say to him, I know it's good. Tell me what's wrong with it.
That's
And
so cool.
he would tear it up for me. Go, okay, this, here, that, there. And like, of course. And one thing that when I went to college, I started college late. I should have went in 96 when I graduated high school, but I started college in 2000. And it was very disappointing. The thing I noticed, and it was the University of Northern Colorado, but I was at the art school. I realized most people who did art didn't love art. They loved the idea of being a rock star and being praised.
Right.
And that was like a shock to me because I didn't hang out with artists growing up. I was solitary. I just did art was my thing by myself. And then my public persona was being a football player and being a guy like that, like in high school growing up. So all my art life was just me alone. I didn't hang out with artists and make comics with my friends and all that. So when I finally met artists in college, I'm like, these people don't give a shit about art. They're not good at drawing or painting. They want to be a star, which is so weird to me. And I just want to be the best artist I can be.
Yeah.
And not to be a star, be rich. I want to be, wealthy and successful as a businessman, but it's not what drives the quality of my art. The art to me is an end in itself.
Yeah.
Like this has to be good because I'm going to live once. And this is the statement I'm making. And when someone reads it, when I'm long gone, I want it to be good.
What's something, it's a weird way because some people, you could look at this two different ways. Oh, thanks, Mike. I wanted it to be like the books that I grew up with. I want, like, I'm not saying I won't do more mature stuff at some point with other titles, but this I made the deliberate choice of like this. I want kids to be able to read it. People who are older. And that's important. But I remember one of the things that, hold on, you were talking about. Oh yeah. When it comes to like, one of the things that's kind of inspiring to me when you mentioned your statement is I had recently gotten into Lovecraft's work. And what I didn't realize is that he basically died a nobody. And it wasn't until after he was dead.
Right.
And I was like, that kind of inspired me to put my nose to the grindstone and kind of go, okay, thank you so much.
Hey, Comic X Books. Thank you, dude. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really, really thank you.
This
is like Van Gogh. Van Gogh, he didn't sell shit while he was alive. He was a failure as a businessman. He's a great artist, and look at his legacy now, right? And we'll make the money and do this and that while we're alive. But this stuff, what are they saying, Gladiator? What we do now echoes through eternity. It's a little grandiose, but you know what I mean. I want to.
Well, we're creators. We're always.
We want to leave something behind. Here's my motivation. You tell me if this works for you. This is the greatest country and culture in the history of the world. It gave me everything I have, opportunities that all of my ancestors never had. I have ultimate comfort, safety, food, medicine, opportunity. My ancestors suffered and died. They could have died from an infected tooth. My ancestors, yours too, right?
Yeah.
So when we think of what they gave us and died for, we have no right to not try our best. No right at all. If you have any honor as a man or a woman, you realize I have no right to be lazy, no right not to give it my all, because what I have, this opportunity, isn't mine. I didn't pay for it. It was given to me with blood,
And that, I think, was one of the main driving themes in Phenomenova, because as I was a writer pulling from those that came before, I wanted the characters. That's when I decided to, the idea of it being set after World War III came kind of later, and I decided to add the stuff with the dad and whatever to really enforce that we're carrying on a legacy, that we're carrying the torch, and that I felt that there were a lot of superhero stories that were just they were getting so cynical, and it bothered me because this was the genre that like really uplifted me when I was little, and I was seeing it go in the gutter a bit, and I was like, let me take everything I wanted this to be the ultimate love letter of the genre, and I was like, let's boil down what makes it special. So I made like the most aspirational hero instead of Superman knockoff, which he was at one point. I'm like, let's make him a literal angelic golden knight in shining armor with like a hammer of justice to make it. Hey, you getting it? It's a little on the nose, but everyone likes it. So.
Well, I think in our postmodern leftist feminist culture, there's a lot of cowardice in most people's hearts. They're very afraid to be sincere and vulnerable. They're very, unfortunately, the majority of people in that kind of culture, They're very external validation seeking.
Right.
So they're fundamentally dishonest people because they will not say or do anything if the group won't approve.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, fuck that. I'm going to
Yeah.
speak the truth, not my truth, the truth. And if you don't like it, you can go cry over there. I don't really care because the truth is all that matters. The truth sets us free. And I think that hurts art because they're afraid to make something pure and honest about truth and beauty and aspirational heroes. And they have to go, yeah, but what if he was really like also a bad guy? Like Deadpool. I can't stand Deadpool. It's like the thing I hate the most. I have like the biggest passion for Deadpool to fail. I hate it with a passion because it's everything that's wrong with modern culture. He's not a hero. He's a disgusting, evil degenerate. It's a horrible example for people. There's dildos, cocaine. What are we doing? That's not a hero. It's disgusting. You know, he's just a bad guy killing other bad guys. To me, that isn't funny. It isn't aspirational. It isn't for kids. That's for damn sure. It's just, to me, it's filth. And you got all these people, they're fighting woke. And then what? You just make your own filth? Like the woke is filth. And then you just make Deadpool, which is just the other kind of filth. I don't get it. So I like that you want to make aspirational stuff. I don't go for the dirty stuff. It's why I quit working at DC. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, my whole thing is I don't, because I'm not trying to lecture people or anything, but I think that they try and turn everything partisan, or people in general. And I think I just want to create the great, like, heroes that fight for, you know, a better future, even if it's not, you know, always going to be perfect. Or like, I wanted to really drive that message home that that they're going to fight for a shining ideal and represent it, even if it may cost them. Because ultimately, like, one of the things with issue 2, before I explode into 3, which we're finally introducing the title team Phenomenova in issue 3, and diving into the action. But with issue 2, I was like, okay, if I get a thesis statement I want to make, let's make it in issue 2, where it's basically like, there's a decision. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's like, there's a decision where it's like, okay, would you rather have, if you could never be remembered as a cool superhero, but you do the right thing every day, would you still do it? Because if you can't, then you're not a superhero. Like, you're just a person in a costume. But that was the ultimate decision I wanted to make, is you can potentially have some glory, but you shouldn't be doing it. You're lucky to get it, you know?
Yeah. And I would say, to expand on what you're saying, a hero is a man of principle. You know, like Superman. There's always this debate about Superman, and I say there is no debate. What makes him a hero is his principles, his character. It has nothing to do with his powers. His powers are cool, they're fun, they're interesting, but it has nothing to do with that. His main power is his virtue. It's his restraint. He could rule the world as a invincible evil dictator. No one could do anything to him. And he's kind and loving and compassionate, and he does fight for truth, justice, and the American way, by the way. I like when people try to scrub that away, that postmodernist. And again, it's like, no, it's not up for debate if it's the American way, and I can factually prove it. He's adopted by the Kents, white farmers from Kansas. I wonder what kind of values they probably have.
Yeah, they probably.
So these are white, middle America Christians, most certainly. So he is necessarily raised that way the first few decades of his life. So that is the filter which he acts. So that is the American way. And for DC Comics to strip that away, it's part of why I quit. And the other part was like, hey, we're going to explore his underage son's bisexual sex life. And I said, no, you're going to explore that. I'm not doing that with you. And I don't want to do sex, period, in comics. Adults, definitely not high schoolers, but not like, no, this should be entertainment that's accessible for all. Han Solo is not banging Princess Leia in the Star Wars movies, and they're fine movies. You don't need
or if it can happen, off panel.
And I'm a husband. I have children. I'm not against sex, and I'm not some prude. But there's a reason bedrooms have doors on them, guys. You don't do it in the park in the middle of the day for everyone to see, right? It's called intimacy. I don't know. Am I from another planet here? Goodness.
I mean, look, I don't think everything should be off, but it's certainly not something I'm interested in. But I think there's ways to do it. Like, personally, I'm fine with how they handle it in the Invincible comics. I know some people don't. I didn't mind that necessarily, because it didn't feel distasteful, and it was like characters and relationships. But even then, is it necessary? No.
I always think it could be alluded to with the fade out, turn the lights out, and just cut to the next day or whatever.
Oh yeah, there's not like graphic But
Yeah.
even there's not like graphic.
Right. But we
Yeah.
live in that like OnlyFans, like porno culture, which is awful. It's terrible for people. And that too much of this stuff has been normalized. Like you can't watch an HBO or a streaming show, a new one, and they don't just have like graphic sex scenes. And I just think as a writer, like what is the point of this? This isn't furthering the plot.
Yeah.
You know, why are the writers doing it? And you know why they're doing it? Because they act like Lisa Simpson. Lisa Simpson is one of the worst creatures to ever live. She's not real. But Lisa Simpson's whole shtick is F you, Dad. That's her whole shtick. Oh, yeah. I bet you didn't think I'd do this. My favorite Lisa Simpson moment is when Bart and the boys are having fun playing Pop Warner football. And then Lisa shows up in shoulder pads and tells the coach, yeah, you didn't think a girl could play football. And then the coach says, oh, we already have 2 girls on the team. Come on. And then she doesn't want to play. Once they want her, she doesn't want to play. You know, so with leftists, it's always about the cruelty. It's about ruining what you like. It's not that they really want to do things. That's why they do all the race swap and the gender swap and all the things they do. It's not that they want Batman to be black. They want you to be upset that they ruined the thing you like. And no, making a character black doesn't ruin it, but making a white character something they're not, yeah, that is messing with it. Just make a new black character. Yeah. If you're such a talented writer,
there's tons of them too.
Right.
Some of my let's see, underrated characters. You know what's a weird one is I remember New Mutants. They had a black character that was in the movie, and then they casted a not black actor, and I was like, "What?" After all,
just gotta leave stuff alone. Like James Bond, I'm sorry, he's a British white guy. He just is. There could be a cool black character in that universe. Just make up a new guy.
Yeah,
if you're a good writer, you should be able to do it.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
So, but I hope the next James Bond is a black woman, just so we can all
Oh yeah.
So we could all be accused of being racists yet again. So yeah. So let's get into Phenomenova. Give me the pitch, give the audience a pitch. Why is this great? Why is this entertaining? Why do they want to get this right now?
So Phenomenova is a superhero story set 20 years after World War III and follows the son of a veteran in the first 2 issues who was struck by lightning while holding a mysterious crystal, and now inspired by his father who was a veteran and the other heroes that came before him during the war, he strikes out to become a hero in his first mission to try and stop a heist at a nuclear reactor. Naturally, that doesn't go well, and now we lead into where he's being trained by one of the veterans who fought during the war to become part of a team called Phenomenova. Now, up until this point, we have not seen the title team. That changes in issue 3, where we have his character Estrella, who can absorb memories. She's the deaf and blind one, but she can absorb memories and information through physical contact. It's called psychometry. And she is a great detective in addition to being a member of the team. And now she's back at the reactor and absorbing information and filling in the gaps we didn't see. How did the villains get into the reactor? What were they trying to steal? Who are these guys? What did her teammates do? Because we know there's kind of a certain point in the heist where our main character blacked out. And we're filling in a lot of the gaps while showing a lot of cool action and introducing some new characters.
Right. Well, that's awesome. So you so I want to know a little bit about your writing background. That's an awesome pitch. I love that. A nuclear reactor is under assault, and they are the only ones that can stop it. So I can tell you understand writing just from that cover blurb. Like you get tension, you get hooking people. That's a hook right there. That's a great hook. Because as a reader, I'm like, they are the only ones who can stop it, but will they? Like, I don't know. This background looks like they didn't do it right. It looks like the reactor melted down. So that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about your education. So you went to University of Southern California.
No, well, I went there for a summer filmmaking program.
A summer filmmaking program. Okay.
So I went there for 1 summer. And then after that, I went to Emerson College for 4 years.
Oh, okay. Emerson. No, that's one of those hoity-toity back east schools.
It was up in Boston. And I remember going there. And I love movies. I still do. I'd still love to do some stuff. But I remember at a certain point, there were a lot of things that kind of made me go, maybe this, because I thought for sure that I would never do anything other than film. You know, I always wanted to write, direct, act. Those are my 3 things. And I still do. And I remember it was a number of things. One of them was honestly seeing, like, okay, for example, like how much things would cost to just tell a simple story,
right?
Like every little thing. And I would always come up with new ideas, like what became Phenomenova. At the time it had a different name. and I would be like this, and I realized we had to keep watering everything down with the eventual hope that I might be able to make something.
Right.
And along the way, I started seeing this indie comics movement, and for some reason, I just got a random itch to read X-Men. I don't even know why. And I'm like, all right, where do I start? And I was told Giant Size X-Men #1. So I start reading that, and I'm falling in love with this run and this idea. And I'm seeing, oh my God, this is much more economically feasible. And it's around that time.
Right.
I get the stars start aligning. Phenom Comics. I'm mentioning this to my friend. Phenom Comics happens, and I'm like, boom, 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 and things just start kind of adding up. And I start enjoying going to conventions and meeting people. And this door opens, and this door opens, and this door opens, and I'm kind of like, I can do this. I can own my own ideas. I can release them and not have to wait till I'm like way older to maybe get someone else to make my idea and then take the rights from me, you know? And I was like, this is great. And the thing is, I'm not writing Netflix pitches. I'm at a point where if this ends up being a comic book and not adapted, like I'm okay as long as it's a very good comic book. Like I'd love it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm at a point where I'm so in love with the medium. And I think one of the things I liked about it is as I was translating a script I wrote to a comic book, and I started looking at the little changes for how you pace things. I'm like, okay, you can't do that in a comic. Oh, but you can do this. And it made me love both mediums more because I realized some things you can do in one, and you can't just one-to-one write a screen. Like I never write my comics as screenplays because they don't flow the same.
Right.
You have to, like, my brain works like one way. There's general stories, but my brain works one way. You have to be aware of page limits, and it makes you more aware of space almost.
Well, yeah, that's got to be interesting for you because I've been drawing comics since I was a teenager and working professionally for a quarter century. So when I write scripts, I understand how much information I can put in a page. But you probably had to learn. There was probably a big learning curve at first.
Oh, huge.
Because coming from screenwriting, you just kind of write the flow of the scene. And then a comic book, you realize, oh, each panel can only be one action. You can't say he grabbed it and then handed it to him in one panel.
Yeah, my older scripts used to be like where I remember this one scene, and it's not even in because thank God I went through many cuts, but there was a scene where like someone puts something in a box and puts it under, and in a screenplay you just write that. And as I started translating that to panels, I was like, wait, so is it one panel of this, one there, one there, one here, one there? And I'm like, that is a lot of page space.
Right.
And I'm realizing, okay, well, now I have to look at everything more closely. And it made me more concise and more aware as a storyteller.
But what it does, the great thing that it forces you to do is what Shakespeare said. Brevity is the soul of wit.
Yes.
And
that's why I think issue 2 worked so well, is because I made it 24 pages. And so
you make it concise. And there's no fat. There's nowhere to screw around and say too much. One thing I know about storytelling that I've learned over the years of writing and drawing is everything you leave out. It's like in drawing, the negative space is the blank paper, the positive space is the ink, but the negative space is just as important. When you leave words out, leave ideas out, leave things out, but the parts you put in complement it, the reader, the viewer, the audience, their imagination will fill in the blanks perfectly. The imagination feels emotionally perfect. So when we have the golden suitcase in Pulp Fiction, right? You know about this?
Yeah.
The suitcase, and they open it. It's like golden light, and they never tell you what's in it. That's called the mystery box. J.J. Abrams talks about that in his screenwriting stuff. When you do that in comics or anywhere you're writing, you just kind of, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars. Now, forget the Clone Wars show they did. They should have never done that. It's so much more interesting to have Obi-Wan say the Clone Wars and then never address it because the imagination of the reader fills that in. This is the less is more principle. When you have artwork that's too detailed, you're not giving the reader anywhere to fill in the gaps of the drawing. That's why all that 1990s scratchy stuff, that was a lack of knowing what to do as an illustrator. I know because I was a young illustrator. And what you're doing when you do that is you're hiding behind superfluous detail because you don't really know how to do the gesture simply. That's actually harder to draw Bugs Bunny than it is to draw a million nuts and bolts and lines. It actually is, because with Bugs Bunny, there's nowhere to hide in your drawing. You cannot hide. You must get the few lines correct.
Yeah, so, I think that was another, that's like checking on thumbnails, I think was a big thing for me to see one of the things that was big for me when I chose my artist was they needed to get facial expressions.
Right.
They need to get and even just when he thumbnails out a page, like just today, right before this, he sends me this spread and it's cooler than what I had in mind. And this one visual looks different and it's simpler, but this other part is more advanced. And I go, okay. And I just asked him a question to go, are you still doing this? If not, it's cool. Like now I used to be like, I don't know. Now I'm like, it's cool. Would you have?
Yeah. Well, I'll
like,
tell you,
I used to in
as
issue
someone
one,
that,
I was always like, let me go back and forth on it for like 5 hours. And it's like, no.
right. As someone that does draw for a living, also, I'm going to feel best drawing when I'm being creative.
Right.
If I feel like you have a puppet string on every one of my fingers and you're just drawing through me, it's going to be like, you ever go to the beach and you're running in like 3 feet of water? So you can't really run. You're just like, it's, that's how
you're
feels
kind of creating
where they're micromanaging your drawing. And it's just like, hey, you hired me because I know what I'm doing. It's not ever going to be what you thought because you're not doing it. Because I'm one of the top colorists that DC Comics ever had. And I hire colorists now. And I have to get used to like, that's not what I would have done, but it's great.
But it's there.
So I leave it alone. Like I would have done this.
Yeah.
But it's not, if I want to do that, then I need to color it. You know what I mean? So, and that's just like being a good leader and hiring the right people. And another unfortunate thing you have to do is you got to be able to fire people. I've had to let people go. It didn't work out. Nothing personal, no hard feelings. That's a tough one. That is terrible. But if you try to be a nice guy and you just hold on to someone that's not doing it right, you're going to hurt your business badly. And that's, that's just, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. That's just kind of how it is. And
I'm scared of that. But I know
that's a tough phone call I had to have with a guy recently and just let it go. And it was not pleasant at all. So,
yeah, no,
he was a pro about it. He was nice about it. And I felt real bad, but, I heard an NFL guy that I love. I'm a Denver Bronco fan. I live in Southern California. I've lived here most of my life in San Diego, but I'm from Colorado. And if you're from Colorado, by law, you have to be a Denver Broncos fan. And there's I should be in the Hall of Fame. Mark Schlereth, who was on the Redskins and the Broncos, 3 Super Bowl rings. And he was talking about a guy who was playing football and not doing good, but he said he was trying hard. And he said he told the guy, this is not a try hard league. This is a do good league. You have to do good. I don't care if you try hard. It's not about trying hard. It's about actually doing good. So when I hire people, like, you got to do good. I don't care how hard you tried. We're doing good or you're not going to work here. And that's a tough conversation to have with people. But I'll just give you the advice now because you're going to be hiring more people, I'm sure, in the future. When you got to cut people loose, you got to do it. Be nice about it. Be professional. Follow the law, of course. But it's nasty when you got to do it. It's not fun.
Yeah.
So, but so Phenomenova, we got 3 issues. Everyone in the chat, you have to go get it right now. You have to get this. It's amazing entertainment. He delivers. The books come out. They look great. Your illustrator looks a little bit like Jim Chung. But if I invest in this, I put my hard-earned money in this. You know how the economy is for still a lot of people, Vaughn. It's money's tight for a lot of people. And is there a future to Phenomenova? Is there issue 4? Issue 5?
Yeah, I've written the first 8 issues, and I have plans for down the line. I'll tell you, I have plans for a prequel somewhere. I have plans for other stuff. My one friend is pitching me something in my universe, and I'm like, all right, you got but regardless, this series I want to write for a long time. I have the first 8, like I said, the first 8, and then I have more issues down the line.
Okay. Well, hold on to your illustrator. He's pretty damn good. He's a young guy, you said, right?
Yeah, Philip, he's like a year older than me, I think.
Right. And you know who he draws like a little bit is Jim Chung. You know who Jim Chung is?
I'm gonna look. He sounds familiar.
Jim Chung is a big Marvel guy. He worked at Marvel a ton. He's probably going for like 25, 30 years. Jim Chung is great. But your guys' faces are very Jim Chung. His contour lines, his outlines are Jim Chung. It's good stuff.
Yeah, he. I remember when I had first found him as my artist, and I'll admit I was terrified in the beginning to just let anything go at all. And part of it was also I knew his art was so good that because he did a sample page for me, and there were details that were wrong. The character's hair wasn't right, blah blah blah. But I knew there was something under there,
right?
That was, and the fact that I said choose any page you want, and chooses this page that unfortunately one of my favorite scenes had to be cut because sometimes you have to murder your children, but I was like, that scene, the fact that he picked that said something about that he understands, what the story is about. He reads the script, he likes it. I read the script and I go, ew, not good enough. And I spend months rewriting it. And finally I'm like, let's go.
Right. And you know what that rewriting is? That's just fear. That's just self-doubt. And it's okay to have fear.
Necessary.
It's okay to have fear. It's okay to have self-doubt. There was a great line in Game of Thrones. Sorry, I just burped. How rude. There's a great line in Game of Thrones where there was some bad guys were coming to kill some people, and there's a little boy and his dad. I forget which characters it was. I read it years ago. And he said to the dad, "Aren't you scared?" And the dad said to the boy, "You can only be brave when you're scared." So one piece of advice I'll give you, since you're younger than my son, is that it's okay to have any feelings. See, I think one thing society gets wrong is like feelings. You're a wimp. You're a pussy if you have feelings. No. Men have feelings, but you have emotional regulation is more important.
Yes.
So you say, "I have a feeling. I don't have to do what it says. The feeling is just a prompt to get my attention. Then I stop panicking, I think, and then I act." And we'll make a simple example. Hunger. You're fat, you want to lose weight, you're hungry, you want a cake. That's not wrong. You can love chocolate cake, just don't eat it today. You can have the feeling that you want it, you just don't do it. So when you have that paralysis through analysis and is my script good and
that became one of my favorite terms.
Have them. And don't be a feeler of your feelings. Step outside yourself and observe yourself having the feeling. Look at yourself. Okay, I have this feeling. What is it? Is it fear of success, a fear of failure? What is it? It's okay to have feelings. You don't have to listen to them if what they're begging you to do is wrong.
I agree with you. Here's the thing. I led to some good stuff, but oh my God, did I waste time on dumb things.
Right.
But here's the thing. That time's gone, and it's learning. Like I went from like taking forever with each thing to when I get into flow state to like bam, 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 bam. Like now I'm at a point where if I just see something, I can just kind of correct it. And I would always save my leftovers in a different document. You know how much I touch that other document? Never.
Right.
Because normally if I cut something out and I want it back, it will eat at me until it comes back.
Right.
I say sometimes if you're not sure if you want to cut something, cut it. And if it's killing you, then put it back. But if it doesn't, and you go, it's better. And here's the thing, all those old ideas, like there was a sequence a sequence in this issue that I loved that I had to cut. But I knew I used to be when I was like if it was a year or so ago, I would have gone through a whole turmoil on if I can do it. But now I was at a point where I'm like, I gave myself a deadline and I go, cut it. And I wrote it and I go, yeah, it's better.
Yeah, that's good. And here's a little bit more advice to expand on what you're saying. In life, in your mind with all this stuff, detach from the outcome. You cannot control the outcomes in life. You can control your effort. That's it. You can make Phenomenova, you can make it to the best of your ability, and then nobody can buy it and it fails. Oh, well, wipe the blood out of your mouth. Try again. Try again. Then you're old and you die one day, but you never quit. You know what I mean? And that's it. And you don't do it for, Twitter head pats and, Vaughn is there. You do it because you do it because you're supposed to give your greatest effort. And the chips will fall where they fall. You'll win, you'll lose, you'll win some, you'll lose some, whatever. But emotionally detach from outcomes always.
That's what I have to learn is because at that point you're not enjoying the journey.
Right.
And that's one of the things I realized by overthinking. I was polluting one of my favorite things in the world. And you know what really helped me was I took a step from comics for a couple months because I'm working on a short story collection where it's just me and the page and I just write. And you know what I realized? I was like, some of my best writing I think is in those short stories where I'm not like a part of me when I was asking my editor every little thing was really me seeking validation. And I realized that. But sometimes I know, but sometimes my editor will be like, here's an idea. And I'm like, he's right. So you have to find that balance. And that was always tough.
Here's what I'll tell you, a mental model about validation. External validation is wrong. It's actually selfish. We all have done it. But if you're in a mode where you live that way constantly, you are going to just hurt yourself and everyone around you. You cannot be a nice guy and seek external validation. And here's how I want you to understand that that's factually true. When you were born, Vaughn Coleman, the 7-pound baby, when you were born, you were deserving of love, care, food, comfort, diaper change, all of it. And you did nothing, but you were deserving of all that love, all that help from the world around you. You're still Vaughn Coleman. Yes. Nothing changed. You are still deserving of love and care and your needs being met and you taking care of your own needs and all that. And you don't need external validation. You don't ever need to say anything dishonest to win the crowd over or anything like that. You just have to be true to thine own self, right? Another great saying. So that is something I've fought for like 10, 15 years is to eliminate external validation seeking from my life. Just eliminate it because it's there creepily beneath the surface, all of us. And you have to watch for it because it's destructive.
Yeah, I'll catch myself sometimes. I'm like, what? Hold on. Do I think it's good? Why am I like, who cares?
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'll realize I'm like, all right, why am I asking this? Do I really need there? Like, there was a point where I went through like a mind break where I'm like, oh God, I got to get I'm waiting. Mike Barron said he'll give me feedback. I have all these pros that'll give me, and like they were busy or whatever. And I'm like, okay, at what point is it going to be good enough? Or what point? Because my artist was ready to draw, and I'm like, I can't keep asking people for feedback at a certain point. Because my first issue is never going to be my best. If it is, that's terrible. If my first issue is my best issue, and it's not.
I'll tell you this: we're all human, duh. So we're all imperfect. Every work all of us do, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Michael Jordan, every last great achiever, all their work is imperfect. It may be phenomenal, may be great. It's imperfect. You let that go. You let it go. You say, I woke up today, I brushed my teeth, I said my prayers, I had my breakfast, and I worked my butt off, and I went to bed with a clean conscience. That's all I can do. The outcome is going to be the outcome, whatever it's going to be. Don't care. I just thank God I had the chance to try today. And then I'll do it again tomorrow. That's the way I look at it. You know?
And that's one of the things I realized is like, oh, nothing has to, because if I could keep chiseling away at but I'm like, I have all of these ideas to get out there. Oh, if I spend time perfecting every single one like a crazy person. That being said, I kind of did it for this, but I'm learning to let go. But I think my first story arc, my first 8 issues, I am extremely proud of, and I'm glad I rewrote them every time I did. That I've rewritten them several times.
You're on your way. You made your funding goal. We got you, I think, 2 new backers in the last half hour. So
thank you.
Everyone watching this, hit the like, hit the share. Go out onto Twitter. You've got to follow Vaughn Coleman. Get on this Kickstarter. Get this now. You can get this book. Let's get them a few more, guys. Let's see here. You come down here. We got it. The physical catch-up tier for $45, you're going to get all 3 issues, right? And then digital Phenomenova number 3 for $5.
Yeah,
come on, guys. You go to McDonald's right now, you can't get almost anything for that. So go ahead and do this. You'll get something great.
15 if you want to catch up.
15 for the catch-up. That's what I would do. 15. That again, that's lunch at McDonald's today that you're going to do anyway. You know, and you're going to get something great, and you're going to contribute to a young guy that I think is on the right path, because you notice I don't do a lot of live streams because you can't really be a YouTuber and a comic book creator.
Yeah, that's one of the things you realized.
I realized. I have a YouTube person, a social media person. It's still me talking. It's still me in the videos, but they point the phone at me. They record everything. They edit, they post, because you can't. Nice. I'm writing multiple scripts. I'm drawing books. I color. So I don't color the books anymore. I hire people, but I color covers. But for instance, right now I'm finishing the script for Dean Cain Part 2. And I'm finishing up the last 9 pages of The Unstoppable Tyrus. I got a military thriller that's in my head that I'm going to write and draw next after I finish drawing the Tyrus book. I'm in the middle of a crowdfund for Empyrean, my sci-fi book. I don't have time to be a YouTuber. I don't have time to be on YouTube 3 hours a night getting in fights with people and being a weirdo like that. And even if I did have the time to do that, I don't want to.
You wouldn't.
I want to have fun.
I have so many, like I was like these last, do you ever have days where you're bouncing multiple projects and just like, I've had days where I was like feeling like I was getting nothing done because I would go, I'll commit to this. No, actually commit to this. Right. Like, but I have so many ideas that I want to commit to. Even today, I'm like, this is insurmountable.
Well, I'll tell you this, Vaughn, and since I'm way down the road from you, decades ahead of you, pick a lane. Because you could be shitty at 10 things or good at like 1 or 2. Okay. And when I talk to the people that work for me and I work with them, I say, listen, we're going to make the most money if I'm writing and I'm drawing. Okay. I don't need to be on YouTube. I don't need to be doing ads. I don't need to be doing this. I don't need to be doing all this stuff as a full-time thing. Occasionally, sure, I got to show my face. But you want to wring the most money and success out of my abilities, then I need to be writing and drawing constantly. You know, that's a thing. So the social media, you have to feed the beast. But I found a way to make shorts, to make TikToks, all that, and then I just hand it off to my person, and they go and edit and do all the stuff for me.
Yeah,
you'll notice Eric July
on there,
right? Eric July stepped way back. Remember, he was like streaming every day and videos. And he hired Gothics, that lady, and that's smart. You cannot be a full-time content creator and a full-time YouTuber. There's not enough hours in the day.
I'm on here more than I want to be, and even then, I you know, like what a surprise! The months I did the most writing were the months I did the least streaming.
Right.
You know, it's how it works. Right. You know.
So, okay. So, we got just a second here left. What do you want to say to everybody before we go? And everybody watching this, you hear the sound of my voice. You can get in on this book for $5 on the digital tier. I want you on the physical tier for $45, but you can get in for $5. You got $5. And it's great entertainment. It's not charity. This is not Make-A-Wish. He's in good health, okay? This is not Make-A-Wish. This is good entertainment for your hard-earned dollars. You guys are working your ass off for your dollars. Things are more expensive than like ever before.
Yeah.
This is worth your money. This kid, he means it. I wouldn't have him on here. I barely have anyone on here. I wouldn't have him on here if I didn't
I
believe in what he
appreciate
was
you.
doing.
Yeah.
And you guys know me. I have integrity. I quit Warner Brothers. I made 6 figures over there, and I walked because I didn't want to deal with their immorality. So I mean the things I say to you. Get his book today. What do you want to tell him?
I mean, you summed it up pretty well, but yeah, make sure to do that. I'm on all socials all the time. So when I'm not working, you could make sure you could check out whatever I'm working on my website, rebeloasisstudios.com. You can check out my Twitter, my Instagram, my YouTube. I'm always doing stuff. Phenomenova is good, but I also have some other great stuff on the horizon. Obviously, check out Gabe, but you already are if you're here, but check him out more. But yeah, you can find me on all of that stuff and keep up to date on everything I'm doing. I've got major plans. I've got conventions. And the better my stuff does, the more time I could spend creating because I have multiple people and projects that I want to work on. And I'm like, man, if I had the money just to execute every single one of these ideas, I would do it. If I had the, it's all going back and forth.
You'll get there, and I'll tell you why you'll get there. And I'm gonna show my stuff for just a second, but I'll tell you why you're gonna get there. I'm 47. You're 25.
Yeah. 26.
Okay. So I'm 21 years ahead of you. But you're compared to where I was at your age, you're pretty similar. I wasn't publishing then. I was working for publishers. So if you just stick to this, think of how far you'll be.
Yeah.
Think of where I've been in all these years, award-winning contracts, all this stuff. That's the secret sauce that nobody likes because it's too simple and it's too hard for lazy people. It's just consistency over time.
Yeah.
If you just stick to it, it has to work.
Yeah.
It can't not work. Do you know who told me that? I've known it my whole life. The great, none other than Jim Lee. He went to school. His parents wanted him to go to medical school, but he said, no, Dad, I want to be a comic book artist. And he had graduated Princeton, I think in 87, Jim Lee. And his dad told him a deal. You have 1 year to become a comic artist or else it's medical school because you already got your bachelor's at Princeton. So Jim Lee spent 8 hours a day, 5 days a week minimum, he said he treated comic books like a full-time job from that point when he got out of his bachelor's degree. And within 9 months, I think at a convention in New York, Marvel wanted to hire him.
That's
and Jim
crazy.
Lee, I say all that to say Jim Lee said this, how could you not be good at something you're doing 40 hours a week after a while?
Yeah.
So Vaughn, you just stick to this no matter what anyone says or no matter how many of your books fund, don't fund. If you just stick to it, one day they're going to, wow, the great Vaughn Coleman, he's an overnight success.
Yeah. And it's like overnight. Yeah.
Right.
No, that was one of the things when I was writing a lot, because this is the tough part is because I agree with that. And I wish I could but it's like, I have to wear the social media ads and everything. So I have to, today I'm going to pick something like, take your advice, pick a lane and just focus on it.
Right. You can be shitty at 10 things or good at like 1 or 2, or world class at like 1 or 2, because the minute you can afford to have someone do your TikToks and your YouTube, do it.
Oh yeah.
I've been doing that for almost a year, having someone post for me and all that. Oh, thank God. That stuff is such a waste of time.
Like I don't realize
drawing and writing
how much time it takes until I started timing it. And I was like, I just spent like an hour spamming my link.
Right. So
for my daily post.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't advertise mine. Empyrean Earth Illuminated. We're doing great. We're in the 3rd week of the crowdfund. I'm going to be with the amazing Dana Loesch. Yes, that Dana Loesch, out to like 13 million homes on DirecTV and millions of listeners across the country on radio. I'm going to be on her show tomorrow talking about this book and everything we're doing at Big Man Comics.
Nice.
Guys, go to bigmancomics.com right now. Check this out. This is a fresh take on sci-fi. You're going to love it. If you love the old Star Wars and Interstellar and things like that, you'll love it. A husband and wife team are trying to overthrow the evil dictator, Casimir the Destroyer, because he's got everyone on the planet of soulless fooled that he loves them and he's their god. And they found some secrets that there's a better way for everyone to live. The evil cyborg assassin Scaife, Colonel Red, the leader of Casimir's military. It's sci-fi. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of heart. There's a lot of family and a lot of amazing action. We got posters. We've got, look at this. Come on. This is gorgeous work here. We've got, look at this poster here, huh? That's amazing. That's a big ass poster too, 2 by 3 feet. T-shirts, we've got everything that you want. So you're going to love Empyrean Earth Illuminated. Go check that out. Follow me on all socials. I'm Gabe El Taib everywhere on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I'm Big Man Comics on Twitter, Big Man Comics 1 on TikTok. Vaughn, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so just look up my name, Vaughn Coleman. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Or you could just Rebel Oasis Studios. You could find on a couple of those too, or Rebel Oasis. It all depends. But Vaughn Coleman, you'll be able to find me easily.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Like and share.
See you.
Adios. And we're still on the air.